Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Just thought I would pop in and talk to you about what's going on in the planets and the stars. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for February 15th through 17th, 2020. So we are feeling today Venus in square to the North Node. This is our first major square energy, major transit energy since that intense Saturn-Pluto conjunction we're still feeling, although Saturn is just moving kind of out of that exact conjunction with Pluto. So the energy is kind of lightening. We're kind of maybe getting some perspective on what in the heck just happened to us in January of 2020. So this is important as our first major transit, first major energy. And Venus is in Aries, just had a very powerful activation going over Black Moon Lilith and Chiron about healing the deepest, darkest places within ourselves. Now, those planet or Chiron and Black Moon Lilith, that area of the chart stay close together. Don't come into an exact conjunction until the last week of February, and will stay close till mid-April. So this is a powerful energy of this whole season and a really important messages for us, especially as Venus, having just visited those planets still in Aries, where these planets are, is in square to the North Node of the Moon. Now, the North Node of the Moon is how are we going to get to where we're going? How are we going to move forward? What is our path forward? And in this case, it has to do with nurturing, with allowing ourselves to receive, to clearing everything that's in the way of receiving who we are is in our truth in Aries. Because Chiron in Aries is these like deepest wounds around are where we haven't been able to, where we've had to choose to be something different than who we are in order to survive. And we've all done this. You know, we all do this every day to just fit into this world, to be accepted. And, but over lifetimes, it becomes very wearing on the soul to the point where you don't know who you are. And that's actually part of the bigger agenda of the negative paradigm of the control energies, is to disconnect us from our true soul essence, from our purpose, from who we really are, and try to convince us that we're simply physical, right? And so this is a very powerful energy because the Chiron and Aries wounds are just that. It's like where you haven't been able to be who you really are. And Aries has some fire to it. Mars is the ruler. And of course, Mars is on the Galactic Center right now still. So a massively powerful masculine activation, as well as this like deep, dark depths of the darkest side of ourselves, our darkest emotions, which are also often associated with the feminine within. So Mars, our male planet, is out in the galaxy, just flying around with the stars, just like getting this massive, bigger picture destiny activation. And then Venus and Chiron and Black Moon Lilith are like on the dark side of the moon, hiding out in fear of the dark, you know? And so Venus square the North Node is like, how do we get to where we're trying to go? And that means we've got to heal these deepest, darkest places, except for we're stuck in that place of being just scared of the dark, right? But it's kind of saying Mars, our warrior planet, our male warrior planet, is out there being like, let's go to the stars. Let's see who we really are. Let's get back on our destiny path. Let's live the truth, our passionate truth. And so my assistant wants to be a part of the video today. So this is Buster. So this is in a powerful time because Venus, having just crossed over that Black Moon Lilith Chiron energy, is saying this is how we move forward. We've got to go into that darkest place. We've got to go into those darkest fears. We've got to go into that deepest loneliness, and that just deep into the delusions of separation all that's kept us from our wholeness, because Mars is out there in the Galactic Center saying, hey, you guys, oh my gosh, way bigger picture here, like, whoa, we are so much bigger than what we've been told. This existence is such a very small part of who we are. And then we're huddling in the dark, like in fear of going to these places. But Venus in square the North Node says we've got to. And it's kind of this crossroads energy, because it's like, okay, are you going to choose to be the warrior and the star warrior and claim back who you are? Or are you going to stay in your fear of the dark? Now, the other energy that's coming in, bringing in this crossroads energy, has to do with Mercury about to turn retrograde on Monday, the 17th, on President's Day. Very interesting timing. And Mercury has already gone over the point of, going from, just went over Aquarius into Pisces last week, and it's going to go over that spot 2 more times in this retrograde. So it's really important. The crossroads we're at is, again, I've been talking about it like a broken record, but we're trying to move into this Aquarian age, into this new energy. What do we need to do that? Now, Mercury is our everyday reality, our conceptual reality, our mind, how we're thinking, how we're seeing ourselves, how we're adjusting our mind to our world. And so we're having quite an adjustment going on, because Pisces is a mutable sign. And then Aquarius is an air sign that represents our mental thinking. And so it's like an adjustment. Mutable is about adjusting, changing to the different energies. And that's what's required, is a massive adjustment in the way we see ourselves and who we think we are, and just complete orientation. Of course, with all this energy in Aries, we're looking at that orientation to our true self. And how do we reorient back to that place, which is how we shoot off to the stars, which is how we get back on our destiny. And then yet, if we can't receive it with that, in the North Node in Cancer energy, if we can't receive it, then what's the point? That's like the big thing. So maybe, it's about receiving the healing and receiving the support to go of the great mother energy, the big cosmic mother that has to do with the Galactic Center energy, but feeling that we're held and we can go through this wilderness, through this darkness, through these scariest places, to get back to the truth of who we are, get back to a life that we're actually living, that we're feeling good, a world that we feel good, a better place, a better world. And yet we've got to go through this eye of the needle right now. And it's been going on for years. I know it's getting frustrating on some level, because it's like, are we ever going to get out of the eye of the needle, or are we just going to hang out there, in the darkness and the confusion? But all of this is about trying to bring it into the light. Black Moon Lilith, Chiron in Aries together for the next couple of months, and Venus in Aries and square to the North Node. And it's like, yep. And Mars in that big, massive Sagittarius activation, destiny activation. Now Mars that means Mars is about to go into Capricorn. That happens the same day as Mercury turns retrograde. So it's a big shift of energy. And of course, when Mercury's retrograde, it's always kind of like a pause, which is hard, because here we are in the eye of the needle. It's not like, you don't want to pause in too long in the birth canal, right? Like, that could be very uncomfortable. It's kind of where we're at, though. So this Mercury retrograde is kind of like that. And it's interesting how we've got this huge divine feminine psychic healing of the feminine, trying to invite in the divine feminine. And then we've got Mars shooting off into the stars, trying to invite in the divine masculine, and being birthed into perhaps this new reality, our next chapter individually, but so dark and so unsupported, so distant, so disconnected. These are these dark feelings that Black Moon Lilith is bringing up with Chiron. And are we going to make it through that darkness? But the message is like, it's so worth it. Mars is out there saying, hey, you guys, don't forget about the prize and the bigger picture and why we've gone through all this for all these lifetimes, because it's happening now. but we're in that eye of the needle place, right? So powerful energy. And this Mercury retrograde, turning retrograde on President's Day on Monday, the 17th, it will be retrograde until March 10th. So, it's typically about 3 weeks there. And that, like I said, it's gone over already from Aquarius to Pisces. It'll go back Pisces to Aquarius, and then again, Aquarius to Pisces. So it's like, we're really getting worked here in our mind, our mental attitude. And it's kind of like we haven't really quite recovered. The stuff that got stirred up in the last Mercury retrograde is on the table right now because of Black Moon Lilith Chiron activation. And so it's like we haven't even recovered or begun to understand what happened in the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio in October, November. And so here we are at another Mercury retrograde already. So we're just going to be still in this confusion for a while. And then Mercury will come out of its retrograde shadow more near the end of March. And March is a very powerful month too. Look out for more information about this, because Mars just had this massive, it's just finishing its next couple of days, a couple more days here in this Galactic Center activation. Then Mars moves into Capricorn, which means it's going to be coming up on Pluto, and it's coming up on, and Jupiter will be with Pluto at the same time around the spring equinox. So incredibly powerful March. And it means that when we do get through this kind of slowing down adjustment, Mercury retrograde, eye of the needle, what in the heck's going on, then we are going to have some shooting off into the next whatever lies ahead that we don't know what it is, right? It's almost like the more you don't know what in the heck you're doing and trying to plan for your future, the more you're doing it right now. And maybe that's just part of being in the eye of the needle and being birthed into the new and receiving the healing and being willing to go into those dark places to heal them and bring them into the light. So very incredibly powerful time. Mars, right after it kind of completes this Galactic Center activation, right around the time that Mercury turns retrograde, it moves into Capricorn. That means it's going to come right into a square with Black Moon Lilith and then Chiron. So Mars is like, and then it's going to come into that conjunction with Pluto and Jupiter. And it's like, so we're in like a really intense, power-packed month for masculine activation, whatever that might mean. But it brings to mind energies of finally getting out of the dark, bringing the light in, standing up for ourselves, standing up for the light of truth, standing up for what's right and good and true, protecting ourselves in our sacred feminine, in our sacred softness that is like our vulnerability has become, such a dangerous thing in this world. And yet it's our greatest strength. But we need that masculine energy to stand up and protect that soft inner feminine so she can thrive in this world. And so very, very powerful times. And so this weekend, we start feeling that Mars square Black Moon Lilith. And, Mars says, bring it to the light. Now Mars and Capricorn, going from Sagittarius to Capricorn, is about manifesting and bringing it into form, into that physical form in an earth sign, that activation that just happened. But we've got Mercury retrograde. We're still in the eye of the needle. So we're not going to really feel that until we get through that whole energy coming out of that equinox and powerful activations in March. Then maybe we'll know where we're going a little bit more, or maybe not. We'll see. But so it's just an incredibly powerful time, and just keep that in mind. That's a message right now. Like, yes, we're in those uncomfortable places, and we have to face the dark, and we're stuck at a crossroads. If we don't want to, we're kind of stuck, but this is an incredibly powerful time to be alive on the planet. And that's a major shift available in these times, going from feeling victimized by this place. And we're kind of back and forth from that, right? And then feeling like, oh my gosh, I made it here. It's finally happening. And let's get on with it. That's kind of what Mars wants to do. So we're working at it, just a little bit back, a little bit forward, 2 steps, 4 steps, 3 steps, and working our way into some sort of future. So I'm glad we're here together. Thank you so much for following the updates, and I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update or the activation coming up for the new moon. I'll be in touch about that. I hope you have a wonderful Mercury retrograde season. Watch out for a video with more in-depth details about this Mercury retrograde coming up here as well. So look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.